Okay, so now that we're done with the SolidWorks part, I'm going to come over here and open Ansys Workbench, and I'm using Ansys 2021 R1. So what we're going to do is first we're going to come over to the module list. And these are the different toolboxes, different modules that Ansys offers. One of them, Fluent, and then static structure, all that stuff. We're going to be using AQWA, which nothing in here says AQWA, but AQWA is hidden under the name hydrodynamic diffraction. So we'll click that and then drag it in here. And as you can see, if you click on this module box, it said the directory name they still call it AQWA. So what we'll do is we'll come over to geometry, right click, and hit open edit geometry in design modeler. So click that. Before we start editing stuff in design modeler, let's go ahead and set up some things that are going to help you a lot in the future. So first thing, come over to tools and then go to options. First thing, common settings, parallel processing. So the number of processors is going to help the speed of your analysis. So what you can do is hit Control Shift Escape on your keyboard if you're using Windows, and this will bring up your task manager. So if you come over to performance, I have 80 processors on this virtual machine, which is a lot. A lot of people may have 8 or 2 or 1 or 16 or maybe 24. But this is one of my school's machines, and so there's a lot of processors on here. So I can use 80. I'm not going to change that now. I'm just going to leave it as is, but it does increase the speed of your results. And so I recommend changing that to whatever number that says, logical processors. Next thing you're going to do is come over here to AQWA, and then, where did it go? I'm sorry. You'll come over to mechanical, and then you're going to scroll down to miscellaneous. This is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. So if you come over down here, the save options, change save project after solution to yes. And so what that's going to do is exactly what it says. Once the solution is done running, it's automatically going to save the project for you. There were many times where I would run a simulation overnight while I was sleeping. I woke up the next day and the virtual machine had, there was no activity, and so my computer would just shut off. And even after changing some of the sleep settings on my computer, it still was giving me some headache. So just to be safe, change this to yes. Also, another thing you can do is go into your computer settings and change the time that your computer goes to sleep, because if you're running a simulation for 2 or 3 hours, then maybe your computer goes to sleep after 5 minutes of inactivity. If you don't move the mouse for 5 minutes, then it'll go to sleep and then your simulation will crash. So change all those, make sure your computer does not go to sleep on you. Change this to yes. If you want to change that to yes, sure, go ahead. And click OK. And so now, at this point, we're ready to start the hydrodynamic diffraction process. And so now that we've designed it in SolidWorks, we're going to come and import it to Design Modeler. And so come over here to File, Import External Geometry File, and then I think I said mine on my desktop. There it is. Flap example IGS. That's the one we're going to open. You're going to make sure you want to import its base plane in XY, in the XY plane. The way you can change that is you click it. If I wanted it in the ZX, I hit apply. Now it's ZX, but I want it in XY. And that's going to make sure that it imports the exact way that we had the coordinate system in SolidWorks. Again, remember, Z is up, X is the direction of the wave. Here, Z is up, and then X, the direction of the wave, and then Y is just defined by the right-hand rule. And so another thing that I do is I change heel bodies. Excuse me. I change heel bodies to no, and then come over to generate. So now it's going to generate one solid body. So this is a solid surface. Not what I mean by that is it's not thin. So this is just one solid piece of hunk of metal. So the next thing we're going to do is come over to thin, because we want it to be a surface body. So we'll come over here and thin it out. Geometry that we want to use, make sure we hit that guy, select the geometry, okay. And then we're going to make sure this says inward. We're going to change thickness to 0, preserve bodies, no. And then hit generate. And then once you generate it, now it's created a surface body. The next thing we're going to do is come over to create slice, and so we're going to slice this guy at the mean surface water level. So it's going to essentially be two separate surfaces, and that's just the way AQWA does it. They talk about it in the AQWA theory manual as to why they do it. So I absolutely will always recommend go and read that just to get a general overview of why AQWA does things the way they do. This tutorial is just showing you like the actual execution of everything. So come over here, slice in the XY plane, and then generate, and now it's going to create two separate bodies. You have the bottom, so I'll go over here, name that bottom, and then I'll name this top. The next thing is we want to create one part out of these two surfaces. So you can click Control, click that one, and then hold Control and click that one, and then right click, Form New Part, and I'm just going to change this to Flap. And so now at this point, we're done with Design Modeler. There's nothing else we need to do. If you had defined this at a different point, like you created it at the hinge or whatever, or if you wanted to do it at the hinge, you could come over here, create body transformation, and then translate. For the bodies, you would just select, you could select this entire, whoops, it might not let me select it. Okay. Control click both of those. In the direction, I want to do it in, let's say, -z. If I want to go down 0.5 meters. Sorry. Then I'll hit that, and you can see that it translates it for you. You can put it really wherever you want, but that's how it's, wherever it is here is where it's going to import it in AQWA. So the next step, they're going to be going to the setup, so the model, the setup, and the simulation. And so at this point, we're done. Let me delete this. At this point, we're done with Design Modeler, and we're going to be moving forward with the next step.